Hello everyone, my name is Mitch Abbott and welcome to my informative speech. Tonight I'm going to demonstrate on how to properly sharpen a knife using a honing rod from Everyday Kitchen and a whetstone, what we call an Arkansas stone, and I'm going to talk to you about knife safety. Okay, now first I want to show you some different knives for a reason, because with most knives that are dull, more Americans are injured every day with a dull knife than with a sharp one, because with a dull knife you have a tendency to press really hard, and that's going to cause you to come off your cutting material and into your fingers. So when you're pressing hard, that's not good. You want a sharp knife that cuts right through it every time, not a dull blade. So keep that in mind. A dull blade is a dangerous blade. A sharp blade is a good knife. Now, I wanted to show you some of the different knives I have. Now, this is a switchblade knife I carried when I worked in manufacturing. This is a Schrade knife that I use when I go canoeing or in the water, in the river, or when we go to the beach, because it clips to my trunks. And this is one of my favorites. A friend had this made for me. This is a boot knife made out of Damascus steel, which is a Harley-Davidson motorcycle chain. I don't know if you can see the detail in that, but that's a real good boot knife. And this is a knife my father gave me before he passed away. It's an old timer. I use that for skinning bucks and so forth. And this little jewel I made when I worked in maintenance. It's made out of stainless steel 5-inch bolt with some deer antler I had laying around. My everyday carry knife is this 511 pocket knife, and I like to keep my knife sharp. So I'm going to show you, first of all, how to sharpen a knife with a regular kitchen honing rod. Now, when you're on TV and they're whipping this thing around like this, I mean, that's okay if you're a butcher's apprentice or you're a chef. The proper way to do it for most inexperienced knife people is to hold the honing rod straight up and down like this on a hard surface and just take the blade down at a 45-degree angle. This is the safest way to do it. If you get going like this, eventually you're going to cut your finger. So here's the safest way to sharpen a knife using a honing rod. And you can feel that edge digging into that honing rod, because if you put this under a microscope, that knife edge looks like a saw blade. And eventually they get bent over, and that causes your dull knife. Well, a honing rod and a sharpening stone will straighten those edges back up. So that's how it looks under a microscope, and that's why it's important to keep a sharp knife. Now, the way I like to sharpen mine is with an Arkansas stone, with a coarse and a fine, and never sharpen a knife without any honing oil. If you don't have any oil, just use water. Because what that blade is doing when it goes across that stone is taking some metallic material with it. And you want to move that away from your knife blade so you can get a good clean edge on it. So the best way to do it, the only way to do it, is push it away from you at about a 22-degree angle, and you're trying to cut a piece off the top of that. I do it 3 times in one direction, then I come back the other direction. And you can feel that blade scraping across that stone, and it makes a noise when you know you're really sharpening it the correct way. And just do that several times, and then switch to the fine stone to get a good edge on that. And you can hear that digging in. That's when you know you're getting that metal good and sharp. And there's no reason to carry a knife unless it's sharp, because a knife is just a tool. And a dull knife is not a good knife. You want a sharp knife. So I always try it against my finger now. That's a sharp knife. Now, I want to show you how to properly transfer a knife the safe way. So if you have a knife and somebody asks you for it, you hand it where the blade's right up your arm, and you hand it to them handle first. And when they receive it, you don't let go until they say thank you. So once the person says thank you, you release it and you're out of it, and then the other person has it. That's the proper way to handle a